Coffee with Ebraheem.
Welcome to Coffee with Ebraheem. This podcast is about real people, real struggles, and the strength it takes to bloom after life's hardest moments. So grab your coffee and let us begin. Muhammad,
يا أهلا وسهلا.
welcome to Coffee with Ebraheem.
It's a pleasure to be here, Ebraheem.
You told me this is your first podcast.
This is the first podcast that I agreed to be on.
أنت ما تخيل يعني you don't understand how that made me feel so happy.
I'm so grateful to be here with you.
يعني I know I'm special, but I felt very special.
حبيبي أنت.
حبيبي, thank you so much. First of all, it's Coffee with Ebraheem. So
Right.
we have to drink coffee, but I think you wanted matcha.
Is that a trick question?
No.
You're not poisoning me?
I actually drank matcha before, but I'm going to have coffee.
You're not poisoning me?
أكيد لا.
We're not villain Ebraheem today.
I wouldn't do that in Dubai.
Okay, perfect.
In America, another story. But in Dubai, I'm behaved.
All right, I'll have a matcha with coconut milk if that's possible.
Yes. Can we have matcha with coconut milk and a decaf? Decaf, right? Oops. That was quick.
Yeah.
Was it already prepared? Was it already ready?
Super service for Ever Rose. Get your coffees here on the high speed.
You know, everyone told me, they said, Ebraheem, why are you doing coffee with Ebraheem? It should be tea because they want me to spill tea. بس my الدراما اللي أنا أسويه, I want to keep that for TV, and I wanted podcasts to be more inspirational.
Of course.
Like I wanted people to, when they're watching, for them to take some inspiration away, because what I realized ever since I've been on Dubai Bling, I had a lot of young people reach out to me and say, you know, we're going through bullying. How do we handle this? How did you handle it? How did you overcome it? So I want this, whoever's watching this podcast, even if it makes a difference in one person's life, we did something. So our time wasn't wasted today. You know? Inshallah. So we're going to get right into it. First question. Okay. Who is Mohammed when nobody is watching?
Oh God. Mohammed is a little boy. I always say I have Peter Pan syndrome. There's a hidden child in me that's mischievous, that's fun, that's outgoing, that's naughty.
I can see that.
Adventurous. However, I'm also a wise person, a fair person, I hope,
see that.
and a faithful person as well.
And what would you say that people misunderstood you for, or misunderstand you for?
To be honest, they get very intimidated by me. I have been in this industry for such a long time, and they hear, and you know how it's a small village, and obviously the name grows and comes with it a lot of power and comes with it a lot of misconceptions. So people are generally intimidated by me, where when it's reversed, it's actually me being super shy and insecure.
Yeah, I used to always see you in social media, but I think one of the first times that I saw you in person was in Muna's filming. I think I was coming.
We were in Muna's office actually.
Before that. Before that, Muna had a film. We were filming something from Muna.
That came later.
No, it was before. Remember the one with my mom? We were walking in a hallway, and then you said, "Hello, Ebraheem, shhalak," and then you said hi to my mom, and then we met after.
Is that so?
Yeah, I have good memory.
Okay, well, my memory is.
And that was the first time, and you know, I was like, I saw you on social media, but I didn't know that you knew me. Like,
who doesn't know you, Ebraheem? Who does not know you?
No, I'm like, I saw you coming, then I was like, wait, is he gonna recognize me?
I am not. I'm a huge fan.
All I remember was when I walked away, my mom said, "Who was that gentleman?"
الله يخلي لك إياها.
والله قالت لي كان وايد محترم إنه يعني the way you approached, the way you said, and you know, you gave her acknowledgement, you know, without shaking her hand, because every time someone sees my mom, they give her hand, and I was like, my mom doesn't shake hands, but you knew that.
Of course. So. This is part of the way we are raised, the way we have respect. Yeah. You know, we have morals that we grew up with.
I made a reel to tell people about it, just so it can help the awkwardness when they meet my mom, but it never works. Okay, what was your childhood like?
I want to say I had a really pleasant childhood. Nothing was ever, you know, we had such a simple life. You know, I'm from the United Arab Emirates, and I witnessed it from desert to the wonderful city that we are living in today. Thanks to our leaders, thanks to God, thanks to, you know, the vision that they had.
Did you have everything you wanted growing up?
I did. I wasn't, alhamdulillah, thanks to God, everything was provided.
So would you say
Great meals, travel.
Would you say you were spoiled?
No, I wasn't spoiled. Thank God in our household, we had to work for what we got. We had to earn what we got. Be it little things, gestures like good school grades, behavior, even like serving guests when they visited us at home. You know, we would hold a coffee cup for them. We would come in with trays and serve them cakes at, you know, after meals from toddler times. So our childhood was very decent, you know.
And you have brothers and sisters?
I do. I'm the eldest. Then there are 4 girls and a younger boy.
I know one girl.
You do, and she's a huge fan of yours.
Habibti,
I'm actually quite jealous of your friendship. To be quite
Every time
honest,
I post her, you're like, wait, man, I have FOMO.
I feel backstabbed by you guys.
No, when we used together, we always talk about you anyway. So you're always with us, Yani, in spirit. So, did you ever feel growing up that you thought differently than other people?
Of course.
I remember me when I was growing up, like people would come to my mom and she'll tell my mom, like, these are all your kids. That one is different.
How come?
I think because I think differently. Like I don't do the normal thing that anyone else would do. Like, you cannot trick me. You cannot bribe me with candy. You cannot, you know, I thought everything through differently. Like,
So you were street savvy.
yeah. And I was like, I didn't like anything normal. Everything had to be extravagant.
That was me as well. I really thought out of the box, you know. Whenever they said to me that was wrong, I just wanted to understand why out of curiosity, and had to learn my own way. Yes, I do feel special because I considered myself a little bit more modern in my way of thinking, the education that I was in as well. I went to an international school. Of course, I was I had the opportunity of traveling the world from a very young age. So I guess, you know, we were very encouraged as children as well, you know, when we traveled to go to museums, understand history, culture, music, be it, nothing was wrong. Even with food, you know, they made us try everything. Our parents encouraged us.
Sushi at a young age.
يعني,
Caviar.
literally.
Yeah, I know.
Sushi, caviar, you name it.
For me, no, my dad used to tease me with trying to eat sheep eyes and sheep
I ate them.
testicles and all this.
testicles عاد مو بهالدرجة بس
No, well, like he used to eat them. I was like, "Baba, شنو هذا?"
the brain, the eye,
No,
the
I
tongue.
cannot eat
I
all
had
that.
them. I
أنا
had
ما
them.
أقدر. أنا ما أقدر.
Yeah. No, and I'm still curious as a person right now, you know, to say, you know, we
Try
only
more
we
random
only live
stuff.
we only live once. So
True.
once the chance is in front of you, have a dabble.
I have a weak appetite. So, growing up, did you ever feel at any point of your life that you felt like being different than others made it heavy on you? Like, did you ever feel like, because I was raised in America,
Right.
so America like embraces people who think differently, like about everything. Like there's in the curriculum, when they see someone that is drawing a painting in a whole different way, they embrace it, you know. But in this part of the world, they kind of like, no, this is how it should be.
Yeah.
You know, I'm talking about 20 years ago. I'm not talking about now.
Yes,
Now
of
things,
course.
a lot of education things have changed.
I was always ahead of my time, literally. Be it my fashion sense, the music I listened to. You know, I'd travel, come back in the summer. I was in a co-educational school as well. So even my Emirati friends who I was in a school prior with, which was segregated, boys are alone and girls are alone. For them, it was like, wow.
How was that, by the way? Like, how was I never experienced that.
So it was up until 3rd grade. I was just in 4th grade where it was separated, and then I got put into an international school which was educated. Our school had 180 nationalities.
The transition from going from an all boys school to a mixed school.
Yeah.
How was it like for the first day in class when you were in school?
Very normal. Don't forget, I was raised with 4 girls as well.
Yeah.
So اللي ما أرضى على خواتي ما أرضى على أي بنت تاني. I saw all of them as sisters, literally.
Was any difficulty in transitioning?
Not at all. Not at all. It was an easy transition. Again, being open-minded, being in a modernized mentality as well, at home and abroad. And even my family, you know, they had friends that were in and out of our house from different nations, from across
That's
the
the love
globe.
of the UAE. It's so mixed, and you get to learn so much.
Yes. And they come to our house and are surprised by our hospitality. They find it quite
Until
amusing.
today, always like Western, they're like, how are you guys so generous? Like we don't understand why you're so nice. What do you want? You know, that was what they think.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel that you had to pay a price for being yourself?
Of course, many times.
And how did you overcome that? How did it feel?
It was challenging at the beginning, obviously, because I did stand out like a sore thumb. However, I lived my life for myself. And at the end of the day, I'm the only person that I'm going to face after this world is God. So he is the one that I'm going to have to answer to.
I love that. I think because nowadays, like people expect you to be a certain way.
Yeah.
And I always say, who writes the book of this judgmental behavior? Why do you have to follow rules? Given the fact that you respect the culture and the law.
Absolutely.
But other than the culture and the law, there's also like you being you. Like,
Of course.
why do you have to wear a certain type of perfume, or why do you have to wear a certain type of sandal to fit in?
Luckily, I never had to justify anything to anyone. In a way, I was embraced. So I was very lucky.
I can see that also because first thing I noticed when I'm like, you're not wearing typical Emirati na'al.
No, I'm
You're
wearing
the
Birkenstocks.
And that's when we say comfort before anything else.
Absolutely.
And I love that.
Yeah.
And that goes to show you that you don't care. It's about what your comfort is. And
Of
that
course.
coming from my household, my mom is like that. My mom, she's like, she will wear 2 different color socks. She doesn't care as long as it's comfortable.
Absolutely.
For her, it's the quality of the sock, not what it looks like.
Of course.
You know?
وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ جَمِيلٌ يُحِبُّ الْجَمَالَ في الأخير, you know.
So it's nice sometimes too.
It's always good to make sure that you are comfortable in your shell. You're confident in your shell. Dress up. Look good. Do it for yourself. It is internal, you know, for you.
صح.
And at the end of the day, no one's opinion really matters.
It doesn't.
It
And
doesn't.
I always say you don't need everyone to like you. You don't need everyone to love you.
You have 5 fingers. None of them look the same.
Exactly. And it's not about a quantity game. It's a quality.
Absolutely.
So if you have 2 or 3 very good friends, you're fine. You don't need to have 100 because you're not going to make everyone
And I
happy.
agree with that.
Yeah. And if you spend your time with those people, it becomes more personal.
Of
you know?
course.
Instead of dividing your time to like 100 people. You know what I mean?
I will tell you one thing. I'm one of those people that never holds a grudge. Whether people did bad to me or good to me, I've always learned if God can forgive, why shouldn't I be able to forgive? So I always followed this policy to move on and move forward.
Speaking about moving on and moving forward, I have a question. I haven't
for it.
asked this before. What does betrayal teach you about people?
Betrayal.
Everyone has been betrayed some way or other.
Of course.
It could be from a friend. It could be from a family member. It can be from an employee that works with you. It can be even like a domestic employee that works in
Could
the
even
house.
be within your family.
It could be exactly. I said relative. It could be your own brother. What does that teach you about people? Does everyone deserve to be trusted? Would someone who betrayed you, would you forgive them?
I absolutely forgive. I always give people a chance, a benefit of the doubt. However, trick me once, I'm a fool. Trick me twice. How does that saying go?
You know, George Bush said this before, but he said a fool can't be fooled again. But I got you.
That's the one.
It's like fool me once, shame
on you.
On you.
Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yeah.
And I believe in that.
It's true. Because you
quote.
gave them a chance.
Exactly.
Again.
However, I don't hold a grudge.
But then again, don't forget, forgiveness is for you, not for them.
Yeah.
Because holding a grudge is heavier than forgiving.
Of course. I can't even put my head on a pillow thinking that one day I've hurt anyone's feelings or made them feel bad in any certain way. You know, I always immediately, in any situation where I feel there's a fire that's about to fume, I'd rather take the blame to calm it down, even if the person was wrong, than make it bigger and cause a larger drama than what is deserving from my energy.
you told me that there's a situation that happened to you a while back that really hurt you, right?
Yes.
And it was a form of betrayal. But my question to you, was it the act that was done to you, or was it the person who did it that hurt you the most?
The act was really horrible. Oh dear.
It's so horrible that something fell.
Even the mic fell down.
Yeah, honestly, I never heard that story before, and I was shocked.
Yeah.
And it made me think a lot about people and who to trust and who to allow into your life.
I mean, it was a. I would not wish this upon anyone. Granted, I don't want to blame myself. What had happened should have not occurred.
It's not your fault.
I had to have, basically, the authorities helped me get out of it, to figure out why the incident happened. Of course, none of you are going to know about it.
No, it's not easy.
However, when they found out who had done the slander,
Yeah.
it turned out that it was someone from my close circle.
That's what my question was. Was it more of the act that what they did, or was it the person?
The person I forgave. He could have been behind bars.
What hurt you more? Was
What
it the
hurt me
person
more?
or what they did?
What they did hurt me more. What they did was, I wouldn't even think that anyone on this planet would have forgiven someone that did something that bad.
The moment you found out that that person did that, did you feel that I want revenge?
I was in disbelief to begin with.
Or did you feel I want to run away from the problem?
I did not want to run away from the problem at all. I wanted to face it and understand why. The person had no explanation. And I had the choice whether to press charges and have him behind bars, or to forgive him.
Do you know what I would do? I thought about it because, I'm so empathetic, where I always feel if that happened to me, what I'll do, I'll go to sleep. Let me go to sleep.
Yeah.
Let me wake up and let me think about how can this go away. But I also believe in Allah. That
Why are you tearing up?
yeah. No, because I'm thinking, no, it's laughing. It's my
Okay.
laughing tears, not my sad tears. But no, it's an unfortunate thing, and I think I prefer to run away from these things. But I know I have to face it eventually. But sleeping helps to kind of like forget about it for a while.
Yes.
But always when I have a problem, my team knows I sleep. So
It was a long time ago, but it still haunts me to this day, that in this day and age, especially with how technology has traveled and is so advanced, that
did you ever have closure from the situation?
no, but I did cross paths with the person, and I did say hello, and I moved on. We've crossed paths on so many occasions, and it's as if nothing has ever happened, because I have it in me to forgive the person.
You've forgiven, but you haven't forgotten.
I haven't forgotten for sure.
If you were able, or if you wanted to, face the person and to tell them, because I'm sure whoever it is, one way or the other, this is going to come across them. What would you want to say to them?
I did ask why. What was the reason? They had no answer.
Nothing.
Nothing. It was just
Just,
a form of jealousy, I guess.
but they didn't say nothing. They didn't like,
The person was more.
they were just like, the emoji. I don't know.
It wasn't. It was. It was a situation where the authorities were with us when it happened. So I guess the person was also in a state of shock.
Did they apologize?
Not to my recollection. We're talking about a good 20 years ago. But I could see the regret in the person's face.
What could they say to you right now that could make it better?
I've moved on from it. I've forgiven the person. However they feel is up to them. But I hope they learned the lesson that you cannot do such things. I hope it made them a better person.
Mohammed, if I was there and if we were in America,
Yeah.
that person
Would be behind bars. And I had the choice
No, we
to.
won't, no.
I had that choice.
Mohammed, you won't find him.
The
We
person.
won't, we, in America,
Yeah.
when you do that kind of stuff, you go missing.
Well, I mean, the authorities.
But here,
The authorities were encouraging me to have them.
no, I think
Teach
what
the
you
person
did,
lesson.
What you did was a very, very big thing. That what I love is you said you forgive, but you haven't forgotten, and I think by forgiving makes you a better person. When the U.S. Embassy contacted me and told me to leave the country, I was like, no. I thought I was the only one, but then I realized they said that the charter flights were going back empty because all Americans, there's about 9,000 Americans in the UAE,
They didn't want to go.
they didn't want to go back. So because it's our home, and if we have to fight for it, we fight for it. We'll stand by it, and we believe in the leadership because we were
Absolutely.
tested during COVID. So it's something that we're proud of.
Even pre-COVID, I've always had faith in our leaders. Look what they did to us, for us.
Alhamdulillah.
You know,
One of the most advanced city in the world. Countries.
I'll give you a prime example. Dubai International Airport is open 24 hours. Heathrow closes at 10 p.m.
Yeah, I saw that.
You know what I mean? So look how advanced we are. We are a city that doesn't sleep. They used to call New York the city that doesn't sleep.
Dubai doesn't sleep.
Dubai does not
And
sleep.
talabat is always available, whatever
Imagine.
you need, anytime.
With the
any
missiles.
food. You know something? I
With
have,
the
I have a very
interceptions.
crazy appetite. So I will wake up in the middle of the night, 3 a.m., and I want sushi. You get it. And it's not just one option. You have like 10 options of sushi.
Of course.
Whenever I travel, I have an issue. I was like, wait, I can't get sushi at 3 a.m. I can't get caviar at 4 a.m. I feel like something is wrong.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is talabat. I don't know if they have a dark store nearby to me, but whenever I order the talabat mart, it gets there faster than I can reach my own kitchen.
The services here. And
Mohammed, 5 minutes.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. This is something
على-
I can never live without, you know?
في قصة بغيت أقول لك إياها يعني أنا a story going back to forgiveness and judgment. The Prophet was sitting with the Sahaba and there was a woman who obviously was a prostitute and she was feeding a cat. And all the Sahaba that was sitting around him were like, as if she's going to get any points with God. And he turned around and said to them, and she wasn't even Muslim. He said to them, she has a place in heaven before any of you do, only because you just judged her. So imagine.
So I try and tell me you're a prostitute.
Huh? I'm not yet. We haven't gone that far yet.
Plan B, huh? In case business doesn't go well.
لا إن شاء الله لا إن شاء الله.
A'udhu billah. No, I was joking. My dad is like, you know, Baba, in case something happens, like, yeah, why did you go like that? Because every time I get into social media, people are like, if I go to the gym, I take a picture. They're like, why don't you open this? Like, by the way, I didn't know what OnlyFans meant. I didn't know.
And it wasn't
I saw in a
initially. It
comment.
wasn't designed like
Mohammed,
that.
I saw it in a comment, and I don't know, I was in a group chat. I was like, guys, what is OnlyFans? They're like, no. It's banned in the UAE. I'm like, thank God it's banned. What the hell is this? I didn't know it actually existed.
But it's a money-making machine.
Astaghfirullah. I mean, come on, like really, like, to that level. Yeah,
فلوس حرام بس.
But I think if all those people who are on those type of platforms, if they just use their brain for a positive way, they can make more money. But they want the easy way. They're lazy.
But that's the thing. OnlyFans opened a few months before COVID, and that was not the initial
Okay, so
way.
they want to make money at home.
They were.
That wasn't
Yes, that
just
wasn't
like
the
Instagram
initial.
wasn't supposed to be like a social media. It was
Absolutely.
like a photo editing.
It was
thing.
just a photo sharing
Yes.
platform.
I knew because back in the day when I opened my Instagram, I think in 2011, and I remember all the photos were aesthetic. It was never of you.
Yeah.
It was like you put a filter and it's the first time we
You
were
had
using
6 filters on Instagram.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you would take a picture of the sky and you make a filter and look so much nicer, look like
It
an
did,
art piece.
yes.
So all my pictures were like, you know, of Paris or like Burj Al Arab or like random scenic pictures. I'm like, when did I take those
It
stupid
was
pictures?
memories. Whereas
It was.
now it's a completely business
Now it's showing
money-making
off and this and
machine.
that. About that, I want to ask you, how did you get the name Mohammed on Instagram?
It's
And it's spelled correctly as Mohammed, right?
Yes, that's how it's spelled in my passport. I got someone in my DMs dropped me a DM saying that the name is
What year was
available. This was 2016.
Oh, that wasn't okay.
So it was recent. I was one of I think it was Sheikh Mohammed.
Recent 10 years ago, yeah.
Mohammed bin Rashid. Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid was the first person to get verified in the UAE,
No way.
and I was the second.
No way.
Yes. So clearly I was on their system. someone dropped into my DM from their internal Facebook team.
Really?
But, yes, and said the name is available, and we had a discussion, and we think you are
Did you have to pay for
deserving.
it?
Nope.
Oh wow! So you got it for free.
They said to me, send us your email address and let's start our communication, which took about 21 days. They said 3 weeks exactly. And I can share, if you want to put this email here, I will share the screenshots of the communications with you on how they gave it to me. I actually should print them, frame them and hang them.
Would you ever be willing to give it up?
Never.
What if someone came to you and told you that they wanted to take your Muhammad and use it as something to honor the Prophet Muhammad and to put stories of the Prophet on there?
The Prophet Muhammad is spelled with M-U-H-A.
That's different.
Yes.
Okay.
I am M-O. And it is my brand. And I deserved it. I worked so hard for it, and it came to me. I didn't run after it. And same thing on TikTok.
How does it feel having such a powerful name?
Look,
By the way, I was supposed to be called Mohammed.
really?
Yeah, they changed Ebraheem. I don't know why. I guess they knew I was going to be a troublemaker. But Ibrahim's also a prophet.
Look, with
They call him Abu al-Anbiya, Ibrahim. صح?
Abu al-Anbiya, صح. The name Mohammed obviously is one of the biggest names in the world. Sometimes
It's the most popular name in the world.
It is. So sometimes it plays with my algorithm.
Yeah, it's good to hide also.
It plays with my algorithm. You know, I want my main audience to be the regional ones. But you have Mohammeds from all over the place, and I get tagged left, right, and center from China to
Turn
you
off
know.
the tags.
So it messes up my algorithm every time.
Yeah.
So when I sometimes have to share my insights with brand deals, I get Brazil, I get Russia, I get China, I get India, I get, you know. So I started learning now the tricks and tools of how to utilize it by geolocating that the post is from the United Arab Emirates, and it, alhamdulillah, changed my algorithm. And surprisingly enough, I have a very loving audience. Yani, never have I faced any sort of war on any of my imagery or content that I've shared. There has been the odd few that had said, الاسم محمد حرام عليك. بس
Shako? Naam?
yeah.
Pourquoi?
I delete these little comments, you know. I monitor my comments as well.
Listen, speaking about comments and audience and algorithm, what do you currently think about the fake influencer life? You know, I recently went out and I had my outlash about this because, you know, me having an honest followers and having an honest, you know, likes and comments and stuff. I worked hard for it. So for me, when I see my comments reach some of them 3,000-4,000, I know like a lot of people, they're like, how did he get this, you know, thing? So how do you feel about people who buy comments or turn off their likes?
I would advise them against it, to be quite honest, because it doesn't change anything. You know, your algorithm will show you. But the bots do not.
But if a brand pays you for a certain,
they don't look at our numbers anymore.
Yeah, but let's say if a brand pays you for a certain reach, are they paying you based on your actual followers?
At this stage, it's the brand. I am a billboard, so they use Muhammad as Muhammad rather than what engagement
But I'm
I have.
speaking in general, not just about you, about other people. Let's say people who bought on their followers. Don't you think? I look at it for me. If a company is paying you based on a certain reach or a certain amount of followers, and those followers are fake, are bots, then I see whatever number you're asking for that company,
Ibrahim,
it's haram.
I think there's a tool right now within those platforms
but I
where
don't
you can click on a boost button.
The problem,
and
I don't think it's accurate. A lot of those engagement tools things. If you look from website to website, it's different.
But within Instagram, there's the boost, and then there's the paid partnership. So
the boost you can check.
yes,
But if the agreement already happened, so that's why I'm against the.
So if it happens من الطرف الثاني, which is the brand that's endorsing that collaboration, then it's on their end.
What's the future of?
I don't
of this,
think
you of marketing, and social media, and all.
I still believe it's going to be very strong.
Influence.
It will continue based on the brands that succeeded and utilized it for their benefit. And I use it as a portfolio. For me, it's definitely, alhamdulillah, it did generate a great income for me. However, I look at it as a portfolio right now of who Mohammed is, my aesthetic, what I stand for, to follow up on what you guys are doing as well, to see what's up and happening, what the youth is looking at, learning the new lingo, you know. It's nice to have, but I also try to limit my time on engaging and browsing and scrolling on there.
Yeah, it's bad.
Going back to your question on fake followers, you know, whether you buy them, get them, I don't think they add value within
Exactly.
what you have
Better
on
to
your
be authentic.
platform.
Yeah.
So,
And what do you think about, like, I want to know what plans you have for the future. I remember I intruded on a meeting with you and Mona once.
yes.
I was supposed to leave, and she was like, "Do you want to stay?" I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah. So
how was that working? Did you?
it never launched, unfortunately. The day that I wanted to press production, we faced the genocide in Palestine.
Oh no.
So it was a very unfortunate time. Maybe it was also God was looking out for me.
You didn't take one sip.
I will do it right away.
It got cold already. Good.
Because I said I wanted it boiling. It's still warm.
So you never launched it?
I never launched it because the genocide occurred and it was no time to celebrate, obviously.
You have plans to launch anything new?
At the current time, I've taken that capital, alhamdulillah, yani, I think God was watching over me, and I'm investing it in real estate and gold.
Nice.
And it is money that I can see, you know.
And you told me you're going to Paris. Can you talk about what you're going for, or we just keep it as a surprise?
I think let's keep it a surprise.
I'm excited.
It's hopefully it's a second round. I've cut this out. بس بيني وبين بينك.
Come with me directly. I'll tell you what it is. Okay? Catch me.
If I have snippets before this episode comes out, I'll share them with you.
Inshallah, I always wish you the best. I want to ask you something. This is something that I faced too, so I want to see how you overcame it. Did you ever,
جهاد خلنا شوي نحرر الموضوع وايد.
did you ever enter into a room, particularly a majlis, and the moment you entered, you looked at a couple of people's faces, and you saw within their eyes a quick
whisper?
judgmental, not whisper, judgmental, and you know exactly what they were saying. How do you feel in that situation? Does it make you feel that I don't want to be in this room, or does
Not
it make
at all.
you feel like they're ignorant and I'm gonna show them why they're ignorant?
I'm gonna tell you something. إن سويت ولا ما سويت بيتكلمون عنك.
مو هذا عرفته.
You know what I mean?
My dad told me one day. So after Dubai Bling came out, there was so many like rumors about me on Twitter, like always, and I was like, oh my god, what is this? So I told my dad, I'm like, Baba, and my father and my mom, they're everything to me, you know, and I don't want to disappoint them ever.
Of course.
And it wasn't in my control to control what people are saying, you know. It's not my fault. They're judgmental by themselves.
Right.
And my dad said, who's the most famous person in the world? I was thinking like in social media, I was like, I don't know, like Ronaldo, I don't know. I was thinking, I didn't say though, because I didn't want to say something wrong to my dad. My dad told me our Prophet Muhammad is the most famous person in the world. He never had Instagram, and he died, Allah yarhamah, 1,500 years ago.
Exactly.
Until today, they're talking about him.
Exactly.
And he was our prophet.
Exactly.
So who are you compared? You cannot even compare to anyone near to him.
I had a manager once in my early days who said to me, be worried when they stop talking about you.
Exactly. But they love talking.
Let them talk.
So we have to give them something to talk about.
Let them eat cake, as Marie Antoinette said.
With a little bit of poison. Okay. Is there something that you've been through that you're still healing from at the moment? Or have you already healed?
No, I lost my mom very early on. Allah yarhamha. And it took me a very long time to start grieving. I want to say it took me about a decade after she passed away to start grieving.
How long ago was this?
This was in 2003. So I only started grieving around 2011.
How old were you then?
I was 22, 23.
So was it something that was it an accident? You don't mind me asking?
My mom was very healthy. She went for a nap, had a heart attack in her sleep. يعني الحمد لله, I say, in God took her away in a very easy way. And they say God takes people that have completed their mission on the planet, that have done well early.
I think they said if you die in your sleep, you're a martyr, no? Or no?
Not that I'm aware of. بس الله يرحمها على كل حال.
I think,
ربتنا.
no, if you're drowning, I think you die drowning, you're a martyr.
Or burning.
Or burning.
Yeah.
Leicester.
I'm still grieving, but it took me.
Do you remember the day that you got the news? Were you in school? Were you at home?
I was at home. I was at home.
Who told you?
I heard a scream from my sister. A scream coming out of my bedroom because she was napping in my bedroom.
Your mom?
Yes. So I ran up going, what happened? What happened? And Allah yarhamha توفت. So my immediate reflex was I shut down. I didn't know what to react. I didn't know how to react.
And how sorry. And how long did it take? Or you said you never healed, but
I'm still healing from it.
When did things like actually get better? Like, was it a week, 2 weeks? When did it kind of like?
This year.
No way.
I promise you.
No way.
I only started seeking proper therapy for it in the last couple of months, and more intensely this year. So January is when I really said, I need to face this properly.
And what would you, if someone that you know or someone that's watching is going through a similar situation, what would you tell them? Like, what would be like light at the end of the tunnel for them? What can you tell them that can help them to overcome?
You are allowed to be sad. You are allowed to grieve. Grieve as fast as you can and keep them in your prayers. Remember them forever. Whether it's صدقة جارية, تتصدق عن حياتهم. Remember them, even with the fragrances that they liked. Piece of jewelry that they wore. My sisters, I always tell them, rotate her jewelry around you. Let's keep her memory alive and her spirit alive with us. Yeah.
Have you ever like been to Umrah and did Umrah?
Yes, of course. I'm very faithful.
When's the first time you went for Umrah?
I went with my mom. First time when I was about 14 years old.
How did you feel when you saw the Kaaba for the first time?
I was in disbelief. Never did I imagine that I would even be that close to it. It was
everyone
heavenly.
says that it's a feeling that they cannot describe.
You cannot describe it. It's as close as heaven.
And did your mom like going there?
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. بعد ما توفت المرحومة, I went back and I did a Umrah for her and for myself. This was pre-COVID, when it was easy for you to. Now they're making it so difficult. I don't know if you've been watching TV, but الحرم, mashallah,
it's expanding.
It's expanding.
Yeah, every time I see it, get another hotel, another expansion.
So اعتمرت عن روحها و she's in my dreams. أدعي لها ليل ونهار.
If you were able to go back in time to a certain time when you were a certain age, when you were younger.
Yes.
Like baby Muhammad or toddler Muhammad or teenager Muhammad, young Muhammad. What kind of Muhammad were you? Were you a شرس, راعي مشاكل, make problems?
Not really, actually. I was not a problematic person at all. Look, I was naughty, for sure.
Were you? Or are you pretending to be someone else?
No. I was naughty. I was always me. I've always been very transparent, Ebraheem. I am a mystery to a lot of people, but I've always been me. What you see is what you get.
So choose the age that you can mostly remember.
The ones that I really think I would love to go back to and erase and learn from again from scratch would be my 20s. They were the worst the worst experiences that I've had were my 20s. It was such a difficult time. And I think it is because, like I said to you, it took me 8 years to grieve after my mom died, and I was in my early 20s at that time.
Okay, let's go back to 10-year-old Muhammad. Do you remember?
Yes, I do. I was in primary school and it was pleasant and beautiful. There was nothing...
So if 10-year-old Muhammad would look at Muhammad today, what do you think he would say? Would he be
Keep
proud?
on. He will say, keep on going. Keep on going and don't stop.
And what would you tell younger Muhammad that you've learned in those years? What can you tell him that so he can be prepared?
Thank
to
you for
face-
being resilient. Thank you for taking these chances. Thank you for being brave and learning to be courageous. Thank you for standing up for what was right. And thank you for teaching people fairness.
If there's a chapter in your life that you can delete today, what would it be?
My 20s.
ليش حاسس
20s على فكرة وايد خربطان يعني كان فيها. What I was supposed to do in my teens, I did it in my 20s.
And do you think that you might have put your mother through something that you shouldn't have?
Not at all. She was one of my best friends. She
So
was
كنت
the one
ماخذ
that...
رضا
رضا الوالدين, yeah. I mean, the amount of times my mother has told me off and, you know, طبعا البتشر, you know, فحبيبها عينها اليمين واليسار ضناها. فحتى لو أكون أنا غلطان وتضاربني أو تزعل علي 5 دقائق تصالحني. تعال حبيبي.
I like how when you speak about your mom, you immediately spoke in Arabic because I think you spoke with her in Arabic, right?
Yes, I did.
So it feels only genuine when you speak in Arabic.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. That goes to show that you're speaking from your heart. مش متصنع.
لا شوف أنا ما أتصنع أبدا يعني what you see is what you get and I've learned, you know, in these years of my life that we only have one life.
صح.
If we cannot, يعني أمي الله يرحمها كانت تقول لي محمد ابتسم بسمك هذه يعني صدقة.
Smile. صح.
صدقة يعني أنت تشوف الناس مثلا يمشون في الشارع ما تعرف ظروفهم شو هي.
صح.
ابتسامك يمكن تغير حياتهم.
صح. If you could see your mom right now, what would you tell her?
I miss you so much, but I know you're in a better place. God took you for a reason, and what he wrote was your destiny. So it's probably a better place for you.
And did you ever lose anyone else in your life that?
No. And of course, we do have relatives.
It's not as it wasn't as heavy as losing.
Yeah, I mean, some of them were elderly, you know.
And how did your sisters handle the situation?
Pretty much, they grieved immediately. The one after me was strong. She was stronger than me, actually, even.
Amina's younger or older?
Amna is the fourth one. So Amna, Noura, Shams, Amna, Mira, Ahmed. Amna is يعني, technically in the middle. No, they grieved. And Ahmed barely remembers my mom. Mira remembers her. Of course, I was the closest one. Yani, she was more than a mother to me. She was my best friend. She was my shadow. She was my backbone.
Did anyone come in, of course not to fill her place, but anyone,
No.
like
Another
a
thing.
grandmother or
I don't want to turn this episode into a sad one for you, but yani,
for us it's inspiration.
We
like for
even
me.
asked our dad, you know, like, Dad, are you looking to marry anyone? And he said, I would never marry anyone because I will never be able to love another person as much as I loved your mother.
It's beautiful, mashallah. That's real love.
It is.
Not what we have today these days.
True.
Let's speak about future and marriage.
المستقبل.
When we're gonna see you married.
I really do not see myself. لا بكون صريح وياك إبراهيم يعني أنا I can't see myself as a parent, and I think I did my time by raising my siblings after Mom went away.
You're older.
I am the
than-
eldest one.
Okay.
I did my time, and I'm a great uncle. I have 6 beautiful nieces and nephews, you know, and they have carte blanche with me.
Do you have your favorites?
I do. I love them all equally, but I do have. But there is a favorite.
There's some that have
always,
character that you have to like.
yeah,
this.
and the ones that are similar to you, you know, you see characteristics of them that are very close to yours.
Yeah.
But they know I'm their safe zone. So they come to me with their problems, you know, from teenagers up to a 5-year-old. They know that It's not going to get repeated to their parents. I will advise them with the right direction. They have someone to trust, a safe zone to direct them in the right path. Yeah, that's the only reason I didn't think I wanted, to conceive or have children. And let's face it, with post-COVID, I was like, definitely I don't want to have children.
Don't want responsibility.
And yeah, God knows when, الحين على كبر بعد, if it was in my early 20s.
I thought you were still in your 20s.
Turning 25 on the 3rd of April. Send me gifts, guys.
Gifts are well accepted.
I'm gonna put a link on my bio.
Mohammed, just before we wrap up, I want to, very important, I think it's a very important topic that we didn't touch. We spoke a little bit about business and influence and, life issues, but I think that currently the youth in schools are going through a lot of bullying and harassment for being different, or just being themselves, or pure pressure, or maybe not having money to buy nice things that other kids have. What would you say to someone that's being bullied and being harassed and feels that there's no light at the end of the tunnel? What can you say as an adult, Mohammed?
I heard you repeating, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is always someone that you can reach to. I encourage every child that thinks they're being abused in any form or format to immediately tell someone, adult, in their family that they trust, of what they're going through.
What if they told their parents and the parents spoke to the school and nothing changed? What's next?
There's authorities.
Say they tried to do the authorities and it's still...
There is authorities.
Because I get these messages all the time. And for me, the way I handle bullies, or when I handle bullies when I was in school, was I focused on myself. I said, okay, Ebraheem, go to the gym. Ebraheem, take care of yourself. Ebraheem, work hard, study harder. Everything was more. Because I wanted to give these bullies, I said, listen, you're a loser and I'm better than you.
Ebraheem, I deal with things in one ear, out the other. But in this day and age, yes, I understand. With smartphones, with iPads, with what they're scrolling through and access that they have of things that they see. Some of them even can, the reach of bullying and harassment is beyond. There's so many forms and formats of it.
Right.
So I would immediately advise these youth to seek help immediately. You are not alone. There will always be someone there to help you. Always. Be it family, be it the authorities. حقك بيتخذ.
خاصة في الإمارات, I think.
بالذات في الإمارات.
Yeah, I feel that they're very well concerned, especially like we have
we have it.
السعادة and all this like happiness.
Exactly. أنت في العصر الحاضر. If someone slanders you online, ينحكم عليه.
I had my fair share.
ما بالك.
I had my fair share of بلاغات عليه.
أنا ما بلغت الحمد لله.
I had only one صراحة.
One
because I did it once. I complained about someone because I just wanted to set an example.
Yeah.
Because I was having a very good day and I was doing a very good deed, and they came out of nowhere and they start slandering me from no place, and it ruined my day.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? I just want to make an example so that way they tell the rest is that Ebraheem is not someone to mess with, because he will get his حق by law.
Yeah. أنا with that incident that happened to me.
Oh no, that's a catastrophe. كارثة عظيمة.
I had to have the authorities get involved in an electronic crime because it was beyond harassment. Yeah. It was slander.
Mohammed, what would you want people to always remember you as? An influence, a brother. What do you when you leave this world, which we all will leave sooner or later?
أبغي دعواتهم من الله لله.
How do you want to be remembered?
To be remembered as
what is your imprint in life? Because I told you to come on Dubai Bling, but you didn't want to.
I want them to remember me as the person that encouraged them to do what they believed in and to believe in themselves. I want them to remember me as a kind person because I do believe I am a good person.
No, you are. This is,
and I am.
I will give you the certificate of the kindest person I've met.
أبغيهم يتذكروني بحسن أخلاقي و my wiseness.
One more question before we forget.
You can have 10 questions, Ebraheem.
What do you think about Dubai Bling?
I am a huge fan of the show. granted, because I know most of you as a cast, there's so many friends of mine.
I know your
in the
favorite
show.
is Mona because she's my favorite.
Muna's my sister, you know, and gladly through her I met you.
Yeah.
There's so many people on the cast that I know on a personal level. So I watched it from a perspective of knowing you guys. And I'm a huge fan of it, you know.
Okay, I want to know from top to bottom. Give your favorites.
I'll start off with Muna.
Agree.
Followed by you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Mahira is a great friend of mine. Then I have Lujain Umran, who sadly is no longer in the show.
Yeah.
Following that, no close relationships or interactions.
والله
to be honest.
احس الكومنتس على هاي حيقول والله. Okay. No, but I like it.
Unless I forgot someone, so
But
forgive me.
One thing people don't understand about the show is the shows.
مروان من أعز أصدقائي الجدام.
مروان.
مروان اللي تصارعت وياه صديقي.
You know something?
أتمنى أنكم تسامحتوا من بعض.
Unfortunately.
I hope it will come soon.
Inshallah. But you know something? What I realized about people, because I have an actual business that people come to, you know. So people come to Feveros, they come to Besties, and they want to see us here, you know. So the others, you know, like Zaina has her real estate company and Safa has her clothing online, but it's not an actual like location people can actually come to.
Yes.
So I see a lot of people. I see like 100 people a day. So what I realize is that every person likes someone else. And someone can say, this is my favorite. Someone can say, I like everyone. Someone say, this is my preference. But you're always going to find a different person liking something else, because الناس أذواق يعني في ناس they like this type of fragrance, not that type of fragrance, this type of fashion. So you're not going to say that you cannot, everyone's opinion is going to be different. Like you said, Muna and me, and someone's going to say no. Someone's going to say I like, for example, Safa more, for example.
Yes.
So it's always going to be different. I don't know why most of them, they get offended by it. For me, I don't get offended. If you don't like me, it's your problem. It's not my problem.
And I told you this before we started filming. The amount of times I stood up and defended you and said, you guys, he is only a villain on TV. And he's an angel outside
You know what's funny?
behind the scenes.
The people who understand me, like the Arab Americans, are the minorities of the UK, US, Australia, Canada. They say, Ebraheem, we understand you. I was like, what do you mean? I want to see if they really do understand me. He's like, listen, you come onto the set, to the scene. You see everyone's being boring, and you say, you know what? Let me mess this shit up.
I like how you start the fire.
Let me, you're all being boring.
Let me turn
Let me start to turn this here and there. And then they understand. And that's what it is. At the end of the day, we are in a show to create a story.
Of course.
So I'm not saying that I'm not me. And I'm not saying that it's obviously not scripted. But I'm creating.
I know it's not scripted, but I know that
I'm creating
because the producers put you in these situations deliberately.
Like, for example, now I'm here
and
with
they
you.
whisper things in your ears.
Yeah. Now I'm here with you. I'm bringing up the topics, right?
Of course.
It's the same thing on camera. I have to bring up topics. I have to make a little bit so people can be interested, or else you're not going to have a show.
I mean, granted, because of you.
Yeah, it's the most successful show.
It's streamed globally. It was #1 in America.
It's the number.
You put us on the map. not that.
No.
في برج خليفة وفي برج العرب
وفي دبي بلينج.
لا وفي بام جميرة وفي إبراهيم الصمالي.
What's nice about the thing is that even though Dubai's marketing for the city and the country is very strong, there's some rural areas that the marketing wasn't able to reach. Let's say, for example, a random city in Brazil.
Yes.
We got to that city through Netflix. You know what I mean? So we were top.
It was a global success.
#1 show in the history of Middle East, and #1 show Middle East to reach top 10 US and Canada.
You wouldn't.
So I'm proud of it.
You wouldn't be, and I told you that I was, I was approached to be in season 1 and 2, and I declined, obviously.
But you know something? If you were going to be on, I would not fight with you.
But the thing is,
I would not fight with you.
After the show came out, after the show came out, a lot of friends said to me, why aren't you in that show? And I said to them, guys, I want to live this sense of mystery. Hence why I don't do any podcasts. Hence why,
محمد, you know what I do?
لأني أحبك من قلبي أنا اليوم متواجد وياك والله العظيم.
You know something? If you were on Dubai Bling with me, and we would have like a scene, and I was tired to go, I'll be like, you know what, Mohammed, you take this one from me, I'll take the next one.
But I won't be the villain. I'll actually stop you from causing any problems.
You would?
Of course.
ما أحس.
والله العظيم. صدقني أنا إنسان مسالم.
إذا شفت ناس اللي يضربون قدامك شو بتسوي؟
I stop them immediately. واقول لهم عيب عليكم استحوا عويوكم.
Yeah, that would have been the calming factor.
Yeah.
And then we wouldn't have had a show.
Hence why I wouldn't be beneficial for the show. I'd be boring.
بس الحمد لله, you know, you have a very, you know, calming, kind, caring.
تسلم لي انت.
هذا أكيد من أحسن تربية. Also it shows in your sister as well, because she's an amazing person. She's been supporting Mealy frozen yogurt. يعني people think she owns it. فأنتم ما شاء الله أهلكم كلكم يعني. What people don't understand about Mohammed, he comes from a very good family. He's a very kind person. And I think I'm happy we did this podcast because at least some people got to know a little bit more about Mohammed.
True.
So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for coming in such a short notice. It was literally yesterday.
You know, I'll drop anything for you anytime, Habibi.
Thank you so much. And anything you have in the future that you want to do business-wise. I know now you said real estate and gold, but if you ever want to launch your product, I'll help you launch it because I believe
with pleasure.
Islam. Thank you so much.
I'll get advice from my older brother.
Older? خف علينا. Thank you guys, and until next time, love to see you guys back again.
Don't forget to follow this channel. Subscribe.
How you spell Mohammed with a
Mohammed on
Yes.
TikTok and Instagram.
Yes.
Subscribe, like, share this episode.
I want him to how many followers you have now?
1.4.
Inshallah after this one he gets 5 million.
Inshallah. Inshallah.
Thank you, Mohammed.
تسلم يا إبراهيم تسلم.
If this story touched you, subscribe and join our blooming family, where we grow through everything that life puts us through. And remember, we are all still blooming. See you in the next episode.
Coffee with Ebraheem.